Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this elastic waist pencil skirt without dots. So if you're looking for an easy project to make, this tutorial is definitely for you. But before we get started, please don't forget to give it a good thumbs up. It will really help the channel. So let's not waste any time and get right to it. So over here, I've got my folded pattern paper and we're going to start by marking 3 inches from the top edge of the pattern paper. And this line is going to serve as the waistline. So from that waistline, I'm going to mark 1/4 of my hip round circumference, subtract 1/2 of an inch. This is because we are going to be using a stretch material. From then, we are going to mark your skirt length. Mine is going to be around 26 inches plus 1 inch for hemming. Now, right on the waist, I'm going to mark from waist to hip. Mine is going to be 8 inches. For some, it can go as 9 inch. Then I'm going to extend that line all the way. And this line on top is going to serve as the waist and the other line is going to serve as the hip round. So from the waistline, I'm going to go in 1 inch and this is for shaping. Because I want this pencil skirt to be more tapered right at the bottom, I'm going to go in by 1 inch and then continue on blending the line all the way to the hip line. So now because we are starting to draft the front pattern, I'm going to go in on the waist by 1/2 of an inch or go down by 1/2 of an inch from the waistline and then continue on blending this line to the corner there on the waist. So from that line, again, the new waistline, I'm going to mark 1 inch and this is for elastic casing. So we need to draft the back pattern right on the black line. I'm going to trace it with my tracing wheel and also the side of the skirt, including the bottom. I'm going to open up my pattern paper and highlight those traced line with my marker. And then I am going to now create a center line to separate the back pattern from the front pattern. So this was the front pattern that we started with. Now we're going to go ahead and trace the back pattern. Now on the center line, I am going to mark up on the waist by 1 inch. And this is not for elastic casing. This is for the coverage right at the back. Now from that line now, I'm going to mark 1 inch for the elastic casing and I'm going to use a different marker, which is a red marker. Following that new waistline at the back, I'm going to create 1 inch for elastic casing. Now our patterns are complete. The next thing we need to do is to cut them out. So take note that I haven't added any seam allowance on this pattern, on the front and the back pattern. So you have to make sure that your pattern is aligned and on the waist they have to be joined correctly. Okay, so as you can see on the waist is properly aligned. So let's go ahead and cut this pattern on a fabric. So like I said, I am using a stretch material. That's why I didn't add any seam allowance at all. So I'm going to place my fabric on folds and also my pattern is going to be cut on a fold for both back and the front pattern. So over here, we have joined them right sides facing and you see the difference right on the waist. The back one is higher than the front. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew the side seam. So for the elastic, I'm going to take the elastic and wrap it around my waist. Make sure it's not too tight as you do so because the way it sits now on your waist, that's exactly how it's going to sit on your skirt. So cut the amount that you want and then take it into the sewing machine. I'm going to overlap the two edges take it into the sewing machine and sew a zigzag stitch. And this is how I attach it. Now I'm going to mark 4 corners on this elastic as shown on the screen, and I'm going to place my pins. So once I am done also with the elastic, I'm also going to highlight 4 corners on the pencil skirt. And I'm going to place my pins on all 4 corners, but right on the seam I'm not going to place any pins because there's already seam. So you're going to take your elastic and place it right where you've marked with your pins. So once you are done attaching your elastic onto the waist, you want to take it into the sewing machine. Either use a zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger, as I'm using a serger also, and you pull the elastic as you attach it onto the waist. And this is how it will turn out. You want to flip it in and take it into the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch right on the edge. That's where you want to sew a straight stitch, and take note that I'm pulling the elastic just enough so that I can be able to sew. So this is how it looks. Now the next thing we need to do is to hem the bottom, and I'm going to fold first half an inch and another half an inch, and then take it to the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch. And we are complete, guys, with our project, and this is how the skirt turned out. So guys, I hope you will enjoy making this project as much as I did. So see you on the next one.